Hi, you guys, and welcome to Nosy Bystanders Live. I'm your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. Hold on one second. Forgot my chapstick. Okay, and we're back today to talk news and some other stuff, right? So I want to talk a little bit about Krishan Rock because I actually took the time out this weekend to sit down and watch an episode of their Zeus's show, her and Blueface. And how y'all are watching that is beyond me, okay? But it's beyond me, okay? But I want to talk about that and just some of the notes that I had noticed and her pregnancy. I don't have nothing to. I'm ill prepared for today. Hold on. My water pitcher's empty. Um, and I also want to talk about Tasha K's second installment of her interview. So Tasha K had sat down with Lavontray's mother, and we're not going to be listening to it because I'm not trying to get another copyright strike. But what we are going to do is go over because I got notes. We're going to go over, and I watched the full thing. We're going to go over this. I'm going to also include the timestamp. So if you want to watch it yourself, I highly encourage you to download the Tasha K app and watch the interview. And I've also timestamped every single location of what we're going to be discussing. Now, I know we're supposed to be starting off this week with CTV. And if we have time, we're going to listen to a little bit of one of his videos where he sits down and delivers the receipts on behalf of Larry Reed. But first, I want to talk about Krishan Rock, and I want to go over this interview because there are a lot, and I do mean a lot, of questions that I have. I don't want to call them inconsistencies. I think there might be two inconsistencies, but after I watched the interview on 2.2.x speed, then I went ahead and watched it again because I wanted to make sure I heard what I heard, replayed it back. It took me about a good 5 hours to analyze that full interview. I'm gonna write down every point that I think is going to be important and the misnomers, we're going to use that term today, the misnomers that I was able to find in that interview. And I think that's going to be incredibly important in telling Lavontray's story. So before we begin, let's use all a bit of building. Okay. Smash that like button, y'all. Don't be ignorant. Hello, Brenna. Hello, Amber. Hello, Nikki. Hello, that girl, Chris. How you doing today? Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Rashida. Hello, Sheree. Hello, Tia. Hello, YNV. Hello, Mike Diesel. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing today? Oh, you're new to the channel. Welcome. Hello, Kimmy on the go. Hello, Ruby. Hello, Auntie Tonisha. Hello, Soothing Zen Sounds. Hello, Greer. Hello, Triple Leo. Hello, Cece. Hello, Mimi. Hello, Lena. Hello, Cami. Is anybody here from Facebook? Come on, Facebook. You the messiest crowd alike. Hello, Natalie. Hello, Laddie. Hello, Ms. BHA Then. I hope I'm saying that right. Hello, Diana. Anybody else here from Facebook? Ooh, hello, Tavania. Hello, Sherelle. Hello, Koana. Hello, Silver. Serenite? Serenit says, hello, family. Let's get nosy. Hello, AK. Says, I want to hear what you found. Okay, AK. We're gonna get there. Hello, April. Hello, Kim. Hello, Missy. Hello, is it Gina? I hope I'm saying that right. Hello, Demir loves me. Hello, Joshi. How you doing today? Joshi says, hey, Chief. Hey, cousins. Frying up some wings, right? Not the wings. Okay, let's just get started because I'm already late. I'm late. Y'all not late. Y'all right on time. I was being the ignorant cousin on your daddy's side. Okay, so let's just get right into the tea. Okay, so you already know that Krishan Rock had announced on Instagram that she had a handful of positive pregnancy tests, and Blueface stated that he wanted a DNA test. Now we know he's saying that for fluff. She's the only person who's ever been in his life consistently, even after the beatings. So I think he's just saying that for fluff and for speculation across TV. We know for a fact that it's his baby. Now, after I watched an episode, it had aired on Sunday. The episode that I had watched. Let me just play you a snippet. Fuck them. Give a fuck. Fuck them. Sorry. Fuck them. Shit. That's harsh. My mom, my sister, and you, are y'all cool or not? Man, I'm cool with whatever. What are you talking about? We together. All right. That's all I was asking.
I came with you. You cool with them? I'll never be cool with them. Yes. I mean, I love them. You know, I have love for them, but I just, at this point in my life, I get to choose the people I have close to me. But yeah, slow down, baby. Slow down a little bit, all right?
So, literally, the entire show is just her incredibly drunk the whole time. Him being, which I find the most odd, him being the most coherent one, which is strange to say the least. Um, it's strange. I don't know how no one else has picked up on it, and maybe it just required somebody who can analyze the information to do so. But the entire episode, Blueface is incredibly coherent, legible, understandable. He makes invalid points. He everything he says is cogent. And then you get to Krishan, and every other scene, she's incredibly drunk. So I wonder if he knows well, one, we know that they're in an incredibly emotionally damaging relationship. Um, and I wonder if he uses her to play it up for the show, right? Uses her alcoholic because she's an alcoholic. Let's just keep it real. She's a raging alcoholic. Okay, a raging alcoholic. And I wonder if he uses her vice to drum up ratings for their show because I don't believe he's drinking. I don't. You can argue with me if you want to in the comments. That's okay. We welcome an argument here. But I wonder if this is from Shah says, do you think the producers edited where Blueface looks sober? No, all the editing in the world couldn't do that. All the editing in the world couldn't do that. I wonder if he is even consuming alcohol. The way that if you go back to this episode and watch this full scene, he is so cogent. It's almost scary. Cuz he's like, why did you follow my sister and my mother if you had no intentions on mending your relationship with them? Those are his exact words. She's like, I don't know, I just did it. I was doing whatever she was saying that was incoherent. He said, yeah, but the point of following people on social media is so you can keep up with them. These are his exact words. And I'm like, yeah, he's actually correct. That's the point. What's the point of following people on social media if you're not going to keep up with them? So he's doing all of this cogent talking to her, and she's just, ugh. And I'm like, I wonder if that's the whole gimmick of the show, is if you're supposed to recognize that he is actually sober the whole time while she's just incoherent and babbling about nonsense. Does that make sense to you? Not to say that he doesn't drink. I do believe he consumes alcohol, but honey, not at the rate that she does. Not at the rate that she does. This from Peanutters says, I think Blueface stays sober enough to keep his control and reason, but in a previous episode, he was pushing liquor on her while she was working at an event. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder. It just doesn't. It don't match. So I wonder what the producers. I wonder what the producers are. I wonder what. I wonder what's the whole when she sobers up in 10 years, we're going to get a really good behind the scenes of what was going on in that show from her. We're going to get a good sit down Oprah interview with her, Gail King, if you will. And she's going to be like, they kept me incredibly drunk. They kept me incoherent most of the time. Anytime that I needed liquor, they gave it to me. I never really noticed my partner drinking. And now I realize they were just keeping me drunk the whole time. Remember those reality shows on VH1? Remember Rock of Love and that Flavor of Love and all those dating shows? Remember those shows? And remember years later, people came out and was like, "Oh, they kept us just drunk. We just stayed drunk on that show. Like we couldn't even think straight. When you walked in there was alcohol. You left, there was alcohol." So I wonder if it's gonna be like that. I wonder if it's gonna be like, yeah, Bad Girls Club, Real World. Yes, they keep liquor flows like the Red Sea. Okay. So I wonder if that is the same notion behind this show where they keep her incredibly drunk and he is contracted to stay incredibly coherent. So she looks like a mess and he doesn't. Does that make sense to you? Because remember when he used to have a house with a bunch of women in it and people were trying to accuse him of pimping them out, but it wasn't. He was actually just preparing himself for a reality show. Do you remember that? Blueface was always sober. Those girls was always fighting. Yeah. 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 It's better than being Amish. That's right. A Jersey Shore. That's right. That's right. That's right. This one, CC says, I don't understand how people find this funny or entertaining. It's all fun and games until someone gets seriously hurt or she's dead. I mean, because your liver can only liver for so long. Okay. Your liver can only liver for so long. Your liver is not doing all of that. So I don't care how young she is. If she is pregnant, she needs to go to treatment. That's what they should be doing. They should be sending her to treatment. She should not be. The show is a mess. But it does look like the producers have their hand in keeping her drunk all the time. It seems like that. This is from King's Queen. What's up, King's Queen? It says everyone blaming Blueface, but nobody blames her or her parents. Honestly, it's not their fault at this point because she's grown. Somebody get that girl a banana bag and a therapist. I blame the producers completely. You can blame her parents for all that, but based off of her high school photos and her photos just after high school, she looked like she had her life together. So if her parents' role is to raise her from 0 to 18, and she had this incredible, potential track and field career, she looked coherent. She was like, at those dances and those balls during high school, it looked like the parents did a good job. There's only but so much her parents can continue to do. She's a grown woman after that. So if you look at Krishan from 0 to 18, she was perfectly fine. You understand what I mean? So can we really blame the parents when she was you understand what I mean? Can we really I mean, I'm being honest. Can you really blame the parents when every photo you see of her from 0 to 18, she's just this, that her parents treat her like the belle of the ball? She looks clean, she looks healthy, she looks like she had a stable household, she looks like she's fed, she looks like she had a safe household. You understand what I mean? So can we really blame the parents when every photo you see of her from 0 to 18, she looks just like a regular high school kid? You know? So that's just my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. Um, Yeah. This is from Jason says yes. Yes, what? This is from Sharonda says, did you see the video of that fight they did? I did see that video. Yes, I did. This is from Rich B says, I do blame her parents. They were bad and she feels responsible for taking care of them. Mm, interesting. Interesting. Oh, well, look at her now. They say addiction is hereditary. You know, they say addiction is hereditary. So maybe that's where she gets it from. That's sad. Her whole life is sad. But the producers are not helping. They are not. They keep her drunk all day and night. I just want y'all to know that. As somebody who actually produces a bunch of shows on my own network, they keep her incredibly drunk day in and day out for television. I don't blame the parents or the grandma. I blame them producers. That's who I blame. I blame those producers. They know exactly what they're doing to zhuzh up ratings. Period. Because if she didn't have a show, right? She wouldn't have access to that much liquor all the time, and she might have the forethought to sober herself up. You know, Look, honey, she continued to drink while she's pregnant. They gonna take that. The state gonna take that baby. It's that simple. You don't want to give birth to a baby with fetal alcohol syndrome. You know what I mean? Yeah. This one, Rich B says, they definitely keep her drunk. Her interview with B Simone was good. They didn't give her alcohol. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, because B Simone is not on Zeus. She's not with Zeus. She's not with Zeus producers. She's doing a private interview with someone else. Yeah, that's a mess. That's a mess. She's a mess. She is a mess. I shout out to Krishan Rock. I hope you get the help that you need. But she's an alcoholic. People talk about this and that, and it's like they're negating the alcoholism. It's like you can't. The alcoholism is her. You know, people negate the alcoholism, and I can't for the life of myself figure out why. I'm like, she's an alcoholic, so what are we watching? Is this the Krishan and Blueface show, or is this Intervention on A&E? Because it's giving Intervention on A&E. Every episode looks like an episode of Intervention on A&E. You know, a mess. A mess. But now let's pivot a little bit, okay? Um, let's sometimes, all the time, honey. Zeus does the mess. Zeus does the most all the time. Sometimes. Okay, let's pivot a little bit because I want to talk about the interview Tasha K did. Did I take a screen? I don't think I screenshot it. If I did, it's not in this phone. Okay, it's not in this phone. Okay, so I sat down and listened to Tasha K's interview with Lavontray's mom. Okay, and I want to go over my notes because they're incredibly important. Okay. And don't just take my word for it. Here's my disclaimer, okay, which I'm going to put at the banner below so y'all make sure y'all have it. Okay. Watch the interview yourself, okay? Go to tashaklive.com, watch the interview. Actually, I'll put it in here so you know where to find it. I think that's the website. That's where I watched it. Okay. Watch the interview yourself, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you to do. I'm going to tell you right now, do not, and these are my disclaimers before we get started. Do not, under zero circumstance, take my word for it. You have to watch it yourself before you form an opinion. Okay? This is my assessment. It is not the assessment of the people in the audience, and it is not the assessment of anybody watching on television, on Facebook, or YouTube. This is my personal assessment and analyzation of this interview. There is my disclaimer. Okay? Mark that as 1737. Okay. Watch the interview for yourself. I'm going to repeat that one more again. Watch it yourself. A blogger's role is just simply to take the information and deliver it to you, but it does not negate you doing the work yourself to be able to form your conclusion. So don't ever think that, oh, I saw this blogger said it, so it must be true. Absolutely not. If no one ever shared with you the details of that piece of information, don't believe it. Okay. All right. So they start off the interview and it's very warm. It's just a very warm opening. Tasha talks to her and they kind of just like are being reminiscent. Okay. So that's the first 20 minutes of the interview. By the 21:10 minute mark, okay. And don't worry, I'm going to copy and paste this in my entire assessment here. I'll copy and paste the footnotes in the comment section after the live stream. So if you go back to Tasha K Live and watch the full interview, you'll kind of know where these points show up. So at the 21:10 minute mark, okay, at the 21:10 minute mark, this is the note that I took. Lavontray's mom says that Tasha K states first that to the mother that Lavontray said he still to this day has a relationship with the pastor of her old church before she went to church with Larry Reed. Lavontray's mom interjects and says, no, only I have a relationship with the old pastor. Okay. And that's at the 21:10 minute mark. The mom says at the 21:58 minute mark that when Tasha K asked her, why did you leave the old church? The mother stated, and I quote, things with the old pastor did not sit right with her. That is a quote from the mother. I wrote a footnote at the bottom and says, why did she say earlier that she still had a relationship with the pastor? So the mother stated that she left the church because things the pastor was doing did not sit right with her. And she never went into detail about what those things were. But in the earlier minute marker, she stated she did have a relationship with the church or the pastor. Correct me if I'm wrong if you go back and watch that. So I found that to be a little bit unusual. It also catches Lavontray in a lie because he stated in his first interview with Tasha K that he did indeed have a relationship with the church, but the mother actually corrects Tasha K and says, no, he does not. I do. So that's the first one. And it was only at the 20-minute mark. Okay. At the 23:11-minute mark, the mom says that she went to Larry's church alone and that Lavontray stayed at the old church, even though the old pastor did things that did not sit right with her. So you're probably asking yourself, if a pastor did things that did not sit right with you, and that's the reason as to why you left the church, why would you continue to let your child go there by themselves? And why would you continue to have a relationship with the church and or pastor to this day? Those are two questions that I have that Tasha K never asked her. She never asked follow-up questions to that. Those are incredible questions that should have been asked, in my personal opinion. Okay. At the 45:58, at the 24:58-minute mark, Lavontray's mom says it took 9 months for Lavontray to get acquainted to Larry Reed's church with Larry and Shamarko. Now, I want to preface this by saying the mother did not state at all whatsoever when and what year she started going to Larry's church. She only indicated when she left, which was 2010. But we're going to get to that 2010 in one moment because that part of the story was, I found, a bit misleading. At the 27:45-minute mark, Lavontray's mother stated I didn't catch her name, so I'm just gonna say Lavontray's mom. I'm sorry, and that's just no disrespect to her. I think I just did not catch the name. So at the 27:45-minute mark, Lavontray's mother says she overheard a rumors being spread about Larry in regards to money and Larry's sexual orientation. Nothing in regards to echo off. Nothing in regards to child sexual assault, pedophilia, anything. Just over the exorbitant amount of money Larry was spending and questions in regards to Larry's sexual orientation. By the 31:30-minute mark, they talk about Larry suing Daryl Moore. By the 34:08-minute mark, Lavontray's mom talks about allegations being heard. She heard about the allegations while she was preaching in Larry's church in St. Martin, which is a part of the St. Thomas, St. Croix Islands. The mom was in St. Martin, according to her, for 3 to 4 months. At the 37:02-minute mark, Lavontray's mother stated that it's like she was kind of jumping in and out, but she stated that Lavontray stayed with Larry. And then I wrote a footnote for myself and I said she never disclosed whether it was off or on. She never disclosed whether it was off or on where Lavontray was living. She never disclosed that. She never disclosed where he was living. She just said he lived with Larry. At the 39:47-minute mark, Lavontray's mom explained some things were occurring with Lavontray and her daughter-in-law. You're probably wondering why that's significant. I wrote a footnote for myself and I said there's no reference to dates or ages given. And then I asked myself a question. I said, when did Lavontray and his current wife meet? And when were they both staying in Larry's home? Now, she stated in that portion of the interview, 39:47-minute mark, that something was occurring between Lavontray and her daughter-in-law, which to me is an indication that Lavontray and the daughter were staying in Larry's home. Because why even mention him? Or why even mention the daughter-in-law? At the 40:15-minute mark, Lavontray's mom says that Lavontray's older brother disclosed what had happened allegedly between Larry and Lavontray. An indication, and it's a footnote to myself, an indication they were living in Larry's home. When the mother stated that she had heard those allegations after she got off the phone with Lavontray's brother, she actually did speak to Larry while she was in St. Martin about the allegations. She also stated that after she had heard the allegations and spoke with Larry, she stayed in St. Martin after she heard the allegations for another 3 or 4 weeks. So after she heard the allegations, she stayed in St. Martin. She had not returned home. At the 41-20 minute mark, Tasha K indicated that Larry stated that they could not date and needed to leave the church, referring to Lavontray and his current wife. I wrote a footnote here and I said, did the mom return from St. Martin because her son was molested, or did the mom return from St. Martin because she was losing her housing at Larry's home? At the 40-10 minute mark, this is when the mom indicates that she had stayed for 3 to 4 additional weeks in St. Martin after finding out about the allegations. At the 45-50 minute mark, the mom states that she still attended the church. Let me get some of your comments. I'm just giving you, I have to give you all the play by play so you can get an understanding. But here's the important part, that 2010 part. At the 54-15 minute mark, Lavontray's mom says this occurred around 2009, 2010. I wrote a footnote and I said she did not specify if she left the church in 2009, 2010. I wrote another footnote says she does not specify if she saw Larry last in 2009 and 2010. It was very ambiguous how she stated. She's like, I just left the church in 2010. She also stated that she left after she got back from St. Martin, but the time again is quite ambiguous. In 2010, Lavontray would have been 20. He would have been 20 years old. If she stated that she heard the allegations in 2009, then Lavontray would have been 19. Let me get some of your comments. Sorry, you guys. Let me get some of your comments. My brain is just going because there's no clear timeline. If you're confused, so am I. And I did my very damn best to put together a timeline for you guys. But that is based off of what is in that interview. So if it sounds like there's not a clear timeline, it's because there isn't. This is from DC says, I believe that is why Tasha K refers to Larry going through humiliation and not criminal charges. She is smart, but she's not stupid. And I believe that she knows it's enough to charge him. Mhm. This is from Ursula says, Larry said the mom left because he confronted her about something that she did. Yes. So, um, according to the mom, she said she was dating a man outside of the country and that Larry was trying to control her. This is in the interview, that Larry was trying to control who she was dating. According to Larry Reed, it's because she was dating someone outside of the country and sending him all her money. So, according to Larry, when he sat her down, he was like, this is not a healthy relationship. You barely know the guy. And basically, you're sending this man your money and whatnot. So, the mother's account and Larry's account seem to be the same, but a slight different variation. Okay. So, regardless of what she thinks and regardless of what Larry thinks, there was definitely conversation had about an individual that the mom was dating who did reside outside of the country. So that's the only clear part because they both corroborate that notion, right? Whether the mom said that Larry was trying to get in between her and her man and tell her what she can and can't do, or Larry saying, I'm just being a good pastor and you sending this nigga your money, stop doing it. It doesn't matter. All we know is that the mom was dating someone outside of the country and Larry had spoke with her about it. When the mom says she separated from the church in 2010, now Larry has stated several times on his platform is because in 2010, I believe it's that, hold on, I wrote notes for that too. Let me get the notes up. Okay, got my notes. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Um, So the mother, according to Larry Reed on his platform, the mother called him back and asked Larry to allow that and stated that Lavontray was lying. This is allegedly that Lavontray was lying about his allegations and begged Larry to allow her son to come back to the home, in which Larry did, in which he stayed until they closed the church in 2017. Okay. So there are a handful of questions I would have for his mother. The first question is, if the pastor from your old church did things that made you uncomfortable, why did you allow your child to go to the church by himself? That's my first question. My second question is, how did your child get to the church? Did you drive him to the church on Sunday with the old pastor and then drive your way to Larry's church? And if so, how far was the distance is that? How long specifically did your son stay at the old church before he migrated to Larry's church? And what year was it? There are very key questions. There are very key points that were not asked that I have a hard time with. And I know not for nothing, right? That my opinion doesn't mean anything, but I got a hard time when there are a lot of omissions being made. I'm going to pick up on them. In the entire interview, the mother never indicated when she first attended Larry's church and in what year, which is incredibly important. We talked about this over the course of last week because we're anticipating this interview because I wanted to dissect it. And I was hoping that they were going to get to that point. What year did you first attend Larry's church? That was not stated. It could have been stated to Tasha K privately. I don't know, but it's an incredible question to ask. Okay? It's an incredible question to ask. Let me get some of your comments. This is from ML. Michael says, when was the mom first in St. Martin 2019? 2009, 2009. This from Nikki says, my question is, why were her kids not with her in St. Martin? She stated she had a 3-bedroom condo. She also let the young man stay with her. I'm confused. That part I didn't quite understand because she did state in the interview that she had a home, a 3-bedroom condo. You're absolutely correct if you watched it, Nikki. That she had a 3-bedroom condo, and that Shamarco and the other church leaders were trying to run her house, which I totally understand and I totally respect. That she had 4 people living in her house who stayed at the church, and that when they had problems in the house, they would go to the church leaders, and the church leaders would show up at her door like wooty wooty woo, which you can't do in somebody else's house. So I totally got that. But then in the story, she never discloses what happened to that condo, whether she sold it, whether she was renting it out. She never stated what happened to the condo and how she ended up in the Bryant's home. She never indicated that. So we have no timeline. We just got a bunch of stuff in the air and we're trying to make it linear and they're not. And I got a hard time when things aren't linear. Okay. I got a hard time when it's not linear. This from DC says, why is she still in contact with him? Who is she and who is him? This is from Jason. Says Nosy, did you hear what Tasha K did to R. Kelly? Tasha K give R. Kelly jail records to BOP officer. No, I did not hear that. I had no idea she interviewed R. Kelly. I had no idea. This from Blue Child says, because Tasha's not invested in the truth. That's subjective. That is your opinion. It is subjective. You said to dig that deep or think that critical to ask those important questions. I don't want to say that. I definitely don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because there's no proof that she didn't ask those questions. There's proof she didn't ask them in that interview, but there is no proof that she didn't ask those questions prior to hitting the record button. Does that make sense? So I don't agree with this sentiment because there's not enough evidence to say Tasha didn't ask those deep questions. There is no evidence to say that, at least not enough for me. This from DC says, I have a sneaky suspicion that this is about generating money and getting Tasha back in the headlines, not about the person she is making allegations about. Again, subjective and alleged, okay? Alleged. Alleged, completely alleged. I'm gonna read y'all comments first before I post them. I see y'all going wild in the chat. Hold on one moment. This from Weston says some teens grew up in the church, don't leave with the parents to go to another church. If he was a musician, he probably kept playing for the old church before he went with his mom to Larry's new church. Correct. Now, the mother did state, that's good. That's a good anecdote. The mother did state that he was paid to play drums at his old church, so it does make sense. My only question is, if the mom says the old pastor made her uncomfortable, why would she allow her son to continue to go there, regardless if he was playing the drums or not? My second question would be, if you heard about the allegations while you were ministering at another church in St. Martin, why did it take you 3 to 4 weeks to return home? Or when Larry said on his Patreon, when he said that the call that the mother had with him while she was in St. Martin wasn't in regards to her confronting him about the allegations, but maybe that call was in regards to the mother discrediting her son's story because she didn't want her son to be homeless. That's my question. Because now a slight bit of there's a slight bit of validity about surrounding that phone call that the mother made to Larry, right? There's a slight bit of validity behind that phone call because what was the nature of it? The mom said it was to confront Larry in regards to the allegations about Lavontray. But the cause doesn't match the effect. You got what I mean? The cause doesn't match the effect. Why did she stay 3 additional weeks in St. Martin after she heard her son was sexually molested? Right? Doesn't make sense. Was it a ticket? She couldn't get a ticket back? I mean, she doesn't specify. She just said all of this occurred in 2010. That's all she said. But she doesn't specify when she left the church, and she doesn't specify the last time she saw Larry. So I wasn't sure if she left the church in 2010, whether the call with Larry happened in 2010 when she was in St. Martin, or was it the last time she saw Larry was in 2010? Larry stated on his platform that when he my braces, when he asked Lavontray and his current wife now, but at the time girlfriend, to leave the house, that's when Lavontray threw those allegations at him. That's according to Larry. He said he wanted them to leave the house because he didn't think they should be in a relationship together, because basically you don't want people fucking in your house, okay? Especially if you're not married. Especially if it's not their house. So that's what I believe that's what Larry's claim is, that he wanted them out of his house. It's according to the Patreon and a little bit of my memory. I have to go back and rewatch it. And he stated that after he told them he wanted them out of his house, that's when Lavontray hurled those allegations at him, which probably galvanized Larry, if I had to guess, galvanized Larry a little bit more to get them out of the house. But then the older brother tells the mom while she's in St. Martin, and according to Larry, the mom isn't confronting him about the allegations. She's saying, please forgive my son. He's lying. Please don't make him home. Please don't make him and his girlfriend homeless. So Larry says, okay. This is from ML Michael says, if the mom went to St. Martin in 2009, then her son was almost 19. Does that mean Lavontray was 19 when the older son called her to say something happened to Lavontray? Also, didn't he marry at 19? Yes and yes. Yes and yes. I guess when Larry told them to get out of his house, this is just what I'm surmising. This is not fact. It's just what I'm just trying to put together in my head. So Larry tells him to get out of his house, right? And then Lavontray hurls the allegation saying, "Oh, when I was 14 or 15, Larry molested me." And then Lavontray's older brother calls the mom and tells her, "Oh, Lavontray said this." And then when the mom gets on the phone with Larry, Larry's like, not only did I tell him to get out of my house, now he's accused me of molesting him. And then, according to Larry, the mom breaks down and calls her son a liar. Forgive him. Don't kick him out. Don't kick out his girlfriend, his wife, whatever she is at the moment. Please. And so Larry obliges, which would make sense, right? Why the mother would stay in St. Martin 3 to 4 additional weeks, right? Because there was no rush to get home. She had smoothed everything over. Because it only makes sense. Something had to keep her there. Something. I'm trying. Hold on, y'all. It's ghetto. Oh, hold on. All right. My foot hit the cord. Okay. So, um, in my head, oh, a little bright. In my head, I'm trying to figure out what would the rationale be as to what break out the sage. Not break out the sage. What would the rationale be for um why the mother stayed in St. Martin for 3 to 4 additional weeks? Could be. This from DC says, I wonder if the victim marrying his wife was to the gate. What does that mean? To the gate that they were not married and sleeping together. You mean he married her so he could continue to be with her and not get kicked out? Or like how, you know, they were just unwed fooling around. So it'd be easier to be married so you can do that. The church was. This is from Greatness says, what makes a mother apologize after hearing the accusations? Maybe the mother didn't believe they were real herself. Could be, possibly, possibly. Um, Maybe the mother knew that he was just coming up with them to throw salt in Larry's face, right? Like you kick us out of your house. Well, also you molested. Understand what I mean? All are possible. All are possible. I'm trying to figure out what kept the mom. Now it could be the man. She didn't disclose where the man was. Okay, she did not disclose where the man was. She also stated that she was married to Lavontray's father for 14 years, but she never disclosed when they got married. Did they get married before Lavontray was born or after he was born? Or while she was pregnant with him? She never disclosed that, and I'd be interested in that. Like, when exactly did the father leave the picture? You know what I mean? There's a lot. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. Let me get to some of your questions. This from Weston says, was the mother on the same ministry assignment as St. Martin? Yes. You say yes, he married her so that they can continue to be together. Got you. Do you think the church was paying the mother off? I don't think so. She worked in the church, so her preaching in St. Martin was a salary. Does that make sense? You mean were they paying her off after the fact? There's no evidence to say that, so no. It's from Judy Long. Hello, Julie. Judy says that a pastor of over 20 years and a mental health professional, some of the interpretations of the mother's interview is being misunderstood due to perhaps the lack of understanding of the church culture. Do explain. You mean why she stated the first anecdote I want to ask you. It's a great question. Do you mean when she stated that she spoke to her son and to Larry about the allegations and continued to stay in state, Martin? You think that has something to do with like church thing, like the what do you think? I want to hear your opinion. Who is Shamarco? That is Larry's business partner, church person. Go to Larry's page. You'll see him all over there. This from V. Haggard says Larry had stated on a live that Trey came to his church in 2006. Okay, right? Which would have made Lavontray. It's 2006. Larry never said that he came to his church in 2006. Larry said that the house that Lavontray is alleging that the sexual assault occurred in was in 2004 at a house that was built in 2006. So let's correct that. I think that's that. This is from Sharonda. What's up, Sharonda? It says when you look up while you're thinking, it looks like the Lord is downloading your thoughts. I'll be trying to analyze it. So Weston says, so the mother had ministry ambitions. That's why she stayed. Could be. It's possible. No one asked her the question, so we can only guess. Okay, we can only guess. This truth says Shamarko was the president, the assistant pastor at the time, who Lavontray stayed with. Yes. This from Judy Long says, unfortunately, the culture within the Black church is never to question your leaders and absolutely never to call the authorities on your leaders. Okay. So the mom said that, okay, so let's go with that theory, Judy. So the mom said that she got a call from her older son about the allegations and then she spoke to Larry. Now, she didn't say, because again, the timeline is so fucking ambiguous. And this is the type of story you don't want an ambiguous timeline, okay? I don't know why no one gets that. But this is not the type of story. This is not the place for ambiguity. So the mother doesn't state when she talked to Larry, but let's just assume she talked to him the same day. Larry alleges that the mother was apologizing profusely for her son lying and for Larry to not kick them out of the house. The mother says that she confronted Larry about the allegations and he denied them. But again, the interviewer doesn't go into detail like, well, what did you say? What did he say? What did you It's like a phone call you would never forget, right? So the fact that no one presses her on like, what was said? When did you place that call? And at what time? What were you doing prior to placing that call? There's no exact line of questioning. It's just like, oh, I called Larry and he denied it. When did you call him? Did you call him the next day? Did you call him the very moment you got off the phone with your son? Were you heated? What's the temperature? So no one did that. So even if she wasn't going to call the cops on Larry, it doesn't explain why she stayed in St. Croix for 4 more weeks. Even if Larry denied it, I'm like, okay, you denied it, but my baby at your house, so I'm coming home. You understand what I mean? Where was the sense of urgency to come home? Is my question. That's my question. There was no sense of urgency. There was no sense of urgency. You know what I mean? There was none. There was no sense of urgency. And no one, and she never explained. And I'm so mad because she never explained why there wasn't. Like, this is not the story to be ambiguous. It's just not. You can be ambiguous on you running errands and you telling your husband or your wife, like, oh, honey, I done ran into Sheila today. And woo doo doo woo. And she was talking some mess about the neighbors. And you can be ambiguous with that because one, you know, your husband's not listening. But when you start to thoroughly accuse people of heinous acts and crimes, you do not need ambiguity. You need specificity. You have to be incredibly specific on your timeline. You have to be incredibly specific on your timeline. There was other anecdotes in this interview that I thought were just a hair bit inappropriate. And I have notes, so let me go over them with you. Um at the 1 hour mark at 3 minutes and 28 seconds, Tasha K starts to discuss Larry's sexual orientation. Again, weird. And in that instance, I wrote a note, and she also talks about Shamarko, Larry's ex-wife, and Larry's sexuality, which had nothing to do with this interview. We don't have a linear timeline. We have ambiguity. And I was really hurt that Tasha K focused on Larry's eyeliner, his eyebrows, the sheer fact that he got liposuction and that he bought his wife breasts, the fact that his wife had married a woman and that she was staying with Larry, right? Like, he basically was taking care of his baby mama. Like, that was taboo. She was discussing Larry's tattoos. She made an off cuff statement that Larry doesn't have any money, quote unquote. That was her words, not mine. And I felt like all of those things completely outshadowed the interview when we don't have a timeline. We don't know when this woman came to the church. We don't know why she felt uncomfortable by her old pastor. I would have loved to get into those details if he's a predator himself, right? We have no idea what happened to the mom's 3-bedroom condo. All we know is that she had one and then she didn't. Okay? Weird. It's weird. There was way too much talking about things that didn't matter. And I wish to God Tasha K would listen to everyone's assessment of this interview and redo it and redo the interview just on the strength of Lavontray. Redo the interview. I think she should. I think she should. I do. I personally do. I think the mother was a treasure trove of information, a wealth of information, and we didn't get none of that. We got bits. And here's my notes. I took a lot. We got bits of information with no follow up questions. I think just on the strength of Lavontray and his story alone, I think Tasha should revisit the mother and resit her down again. I think she should ask her these questions. I think she should listen to the audience. I think if TashaKlive.com has a comment section, she should really harness in on the comment section. She should watch everybody's anecdotal reviews of that interview, and she should revisit that interview just on the strength of Lavontray, because there are a lot of key points that are missing that have to be answered, or no one is going to believe Lavontray's story. Lavontray does have a story, but it's been almost 2 weeks and we still don't even know when, and we don't know where. We don't know either of those things. And it breaks my heart that he went to Daryl Moore and then he went to Bishop Whitehead and now he has landed in the lap of Tasha K and we don't have a timeline. We don't even have a timeline. We don't even know where this happened. This could have happened on Pluto itself. And by the way that these first two interviews went, I wouldn't be shocked if it did. You know what I mean? Let me get some of your comments. This is from YNV says, do you think some important parts were edited out to reveal more details later? Possibly, but she's not re-interviewing the mom. So if she did edit the mom's interview out, the mother doesn't get re-interviewed in this series. Do you understand what I mean? Ambiguity by design, possibly. This from Dream said, did you ever go to the hospital or doctor? Did he ever go to the hospital or to the doctor about his SA? That would show dates and times if he did. I don't believe he did, but it's possible. But there are two more interviews left. Lavontray's wife and then Lavontray one more time. So I don't know. He might reveal that in his final interview. This from Melanie. Hello, Melanie. Says, you're talking about Krishan having a good house, but she didn't. Oh, girl, you at the beginning of the video. You ain't gonna see this. Yes, you might see this. Thank you. This from Monica said, something is not right about the story. The only thing the story is missing in my personal assessment of going through all these details is the time and the place. Everything else means nothing to me until you tell me when it happened and where. Okay? Because all we got is someone saying that they were sexually assaulted in a house that didn't exist. I'm waiting for Tasha K to just reveal where and when. That's it. I don't think we're at as viewers. I don't think we ask too much. This from Yinza says, think TK dislikes someone she goes low. Reminds me of how she came for Cardi B. I wish I would have seen the series of her coverage on Cardi B. I'm sure there's still some of it on the internet, but I never watched any of it. This from DC says, I agree, but I also feel like it's part and parcel to Tasha's intention to keep the public engaged, allegedly. Once she puts out the rest of the series, we're going back to the news. I won't have any more interest in it. I just won't. I just won't have any interest in it. If I feel like I'm getting left with ambiguity, I just don't care anymore, you know? I just don't care anymore. I just don't, and to Tasha's credit, I think I feel like in these two interviews, she's given Lavontray and his family the space to actually tell their story. The only the only critique I would give her is to just calm down on the discussion of Larry's sexual orientation, because we talked about this before. Sexual orientation and sexual nature are two different things. So if Tasha K discussed Larry's sexual nature, like, was he very touchy-feely? That's sexual nature. Did he ever grab your butt? Did he ever hold your face? Did he ever kiss you? That's sexual nature. But Larry being a little zesty, like Armand Wiggins would say, has nothing to do with the story, because your zestiness has nothing to do with your predator. There's plenty of gay people who don't prey on kids, okay? Plenty, millions, okay? So if Katasha focused on Larry's sexual nature versus his sexual orientation, she'd be a lot safer. In this interview, I didn't like the talking about the lipo, because again, it had nothing to do. What did Larry having liposuction years after that family moved out of his house have anything to do with the story? It really had nothing to do with it. Her talking about Larry wearing makeup or his tattoos. I guess I guess that was a point to talk about his inconsistencies as a pastor, right? Like, he preached one thing, but he's doing another. You know what I mean? I guess I could see that. But again, it doesn't have much to do with the story. What's going to really cascade the story is a linear, right? One line like this, like this, a linear timeline. It's got to be straight. All I got is a bunch of waves and motions. It's so ambiguous. I don't know what to make of it. I don't just know what to make of it. I'm like, well, when the mom come to the church and if the other pastor made you uncomfortable, why'd you leave your baby there? You should have those questions in an interview. You should not have those questions in an interview. You should not have those questions in an interview. I shouldn't have been left with more questions than answers. You understand what I mean? You see what I mean? This from Brenna Love says, I don't have an interest in the story now. The gentleman should have went to the police. He did. He did file a police report in 2018. Um, if Larry did this, he should be in jail. The end. Yeah, the end. You're right. You're right. From Judy says the mom was being employed by Larry. They had her kids, so without being on that call, it is possible that she had nowhere to send her kids and no money to get home sooner. Correct. That's correct. Now, right? Now, what would possess her to stay at the church? And what would possess Lavontray to and his wife to stay living with Larry until 2017? If, according to Lavontray, that he stayed with Larry from 2006 to 2017, that's almost 11 years. What would possess them to stay there for 11 years? And Larry's property, because obviously over time Larry just didn't live there anymore, because there was just a bunch of people in the house. So let me ask you this: what would possess them to still continue to stay in his property? I'm waiting. This from Andrea said, if I had to sell everything, including myself, I would have been on next plane home. Same. True Speak says, not being able to get back home physically doesn't prevent you from calling the cops. Show don't. Girl, not freeloading. Wu Child says, they were kicked out but went back. Hmm. They did go back. They did, according to Lavontray and Larry. So we know that to be true. They went back. Oh. Oh. This is from Ursula said, Larry said he had them all on payroll, even though they didn't work. Well, maybe they worked on the property, like mowing the lawn. I don't know. I'm just saying. Or maybe he just did it because he just felt bad for him. I don't know. Or maybe he did it because hush money. Also don't know. Yeah. Yeah, fine line. Just plain fear, possibly. This from Michael says, and remember, his wife is 5 years older than Lavontray. She's 5 years older than him. When did he get married? Did he ever disclose what year he got married, Lavontray? When did he get married? Does anyone know? No one? Anyone? Anyone? No one? I heard it was 19. Larry stated he had a problem with this. She was too old for him. So he was 19 when they got married. She's 24. Didn't he say he saw his wife in his first interview? He said when he first walked into church, his first day, he saw his wife. If he had walked in the church at 15, his wife would have been 20. This, they got a big problem with this timeline. 14 years. How old is Lavontray now? Um, Hold on. He's 32. He was married at 18. Okay. So he was married at 18. Whew. He was married at 18. He got to Larry's church when he was 15. Larry, according to Larry, he moved in at 17, but according to Lavontray's mom, there's no timeline. Did Shamarko say he lived with him when he was 15? Did anybody remember that? That Shamarko said he was living with him when he was 15? Him and his wife? Timeline all over the place. I really want to we got a little time. So I would like to get to CTV's. I want to get to start the week off with Conscious TV. He live right now. Okay, Conscious. Okay. Now, to be fair, Conscious does about 3 to 6 hour long live streams. Ain't no way. Okay. Ain't no way. There's no way I could listen to that. It's too long. But what I'll do is we'll start off the week by finishing off Conscious TV and Cheryl's World's interview with Conscious TV, okay? Because I think that's an important interview we should get to, even though Cheryl, her with the anecdotes, like, yeah. Okay, so what we'll do is, because we only got through 30 minutes of her interview with Conscious TV, and I feel like he sums it up really good for her. So we're going to get into Conscious TV's interview with Cheryl's World, and we're going to go over those details. Now that we've done with the Tasha K stuff, we can get to the Larry Reid defense, because we've been on the side of listening to Tasha K, what she has to say, and dissecting her interviews. Now let's get over to Larry's defense. What's Larry's defense? Okay. This from Dream says, so maybe that's why Larry didn't want them together at that age. She would have been over the age if they were dating at 18. Possibly. That's quite possible. You said, did you review the video and a link I sent you? This may help defend your strike. Listen, no, I didn't. I did watch it, and shout out to Conscious TV. No, I want to start off with Cheryl's World's interview with Conscious TV. Now, I have had plenty of copyright strikes on my page, so that doesn't scare me. So maybe Tasha K must have thought that was a way to scare my page. We're a news channel. We cover all kinds of stuff. I get copyright strikes, y'all. Like, it's my job, but I know how to defend them. That's why we've never lost our page or monetization. So I think when Tasha attempted to do it, she was just like, oh, we're going to get you with a copyright strike. Da, 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 da. But I get so many of them. Okay. Does that make sense? I do. I'm not going to lie. That's not a flex. Please don't. If you start a YouTube channel, do not get copyright strike. But I get so many of them that a friend of mine who's another YouTuber showed me how to beat them. So I've been beating them. Child, okay. I'm not going to tell you how I do it, but if you start a YouTube channel, just DM me. I'll tell you how to beat them. But I get so many of them. I get so many copyright strikes. Like, I probably get 5 a year, and you're only supposed to get 3, but I get about 5 a year because I'm always on someone's neck. Okay, so it doesn't. When people say, "Oh, I'm going to strike your page," yeah, okay. I know how to beat it. I beat them every time. So we still getting paid. Okay. So, yeah, you say ain't nobody read the facts. They read them, but there's a way to, there's a loophole around them. Okay. There's a loophole around them. I wish I could tell you, but I just can't. So, but there is a way around a copyright strike. You just gotta have the right things in place to beat them. But yeah, I'm still used to it. I remember the first strike I got, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna take my page. So I called my friend. He's a decent sized YouTuber. I'm not gonna tell you who he is or the size of his page, but he's a decent sized YouTuber. He's like, oh, bet here. This is how you beat it. It's like, so when people are like, oh, I have so many strikes and da da da, I'm like, why don't people do this? So maybe because he's been in the YouTube ether so much longer, he knows how they work. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But they don't. When people threaten me with them, it doesn't terrify me like it used to. It used to scare me. The first one I got scared me. Um, but then I got so many. I was getting so many, and then I was like, want to talk to my friend, and he helped me. So that's not working. But I appreciate Conscious TV reaching out and doing that. I did watch that, but no, I know how to handle copyright strike. Okay, just know I do. Okay, so let's get into Conscious TV's interview. This is week one of all of the Larry Reed receipts. Okay, and we got to start with Conscious TV, honey, because he's doling them out. Now his videos are very long, so I got to watch them ahead of time so I can timestamp where all the receipts come in. Okay. Okay, here it goes. Hold on. Oh, I gotta get my disclaimer.
As you guys can see here, Larry Reed versus defendant. What do you see here? Motion to withdraw as counsel and continuance of discovery orders. Let me read this real here. Now comes the defense counsel, Fred Middleton, and hereby moves this court to withdraw as counsel for the defendant. Counsel has reviewed this matter with the defendant and determined that they cannot properly and professionally proceed further as the defense counsel. There is no agreement as to the representation and future conduct of the representation. Counsel moves to withdraw as defendant's representative in the best interest of the defendant. Get into what he cites against his own client. I hereby certify that on the 4th of November, 2021, a copy of the foregoing was filed electronically. Okay, let's move on down here. Defendant has been given notice of the responsibility of proceeding with the prosecution and production of case materials in this matter, but has not been responsive to the request. The problems of communication and production of evidence via technical experts has been limited and caused delay of preparation of documents. The filings of court disclosures have been delayed by a lack of responses and communications from the client, and this will hinder the attorney-client relationship. The request for the case information has been met with acrimonious and differences of opinions as to the direction of this case. The cost of the case would be substantial and a difficult problem for the attorney to undertake without insurances from the client for proper support.
Insurances, if my armchair lawyering is right, that means that he didn't have enough of a retainer to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't have enough of a retainer to be able to continue on with the case in the manner in which Daryl wanted the case to go. Stay on it next. I'll do my best. CTV posted the receipts in Patreon also. Okay, perfect. This from Judy. Oh, he did? Ooh. It might be easier to just pay for the Patreon and go over them. How much is it? Tell me how much it is. Tell me how much it is real quick so I can get it. Thank you, Double D, for the super sticker. It's my birthday coming up, y'all. So that's why she giving me $5. That's why she gave me $5 because my birthday. That's what she thinks she's supposed to give me for my birthday. He said, I think it's $5. Let me go to Patreon. Hold on. Let's see. Is it under Conscious TV? How do I search for people on here? Excuse me. For the Tesla? $5 ain't gonna cut it. Aquarius, when's your birthday? She put five on it. I don't even know how to search Patreon. Hold on. I got a Patreon, but I don't got enough tea to put it behind a paywall. Okay, how do I search for other people's pages? Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to pull it up now. I don't know how to find it. How do I log out? Okay, hold on. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I don't know how to work Patreon. I don't even use it. Oh, it's $5. Oh, he makes it simple. This better be his. Okay, hold on. I wish they just took Apple Pay. Oh, dang. I need my debit card. I don't have it's on the counter. Hold on. Let me go get it, y'all. Hold on. I think that's it. Okay. We in there. Okay. What do I get? Okay, hold on. I'm in the Patreon. Oh, he got all the receipts. Oh, child. Oh gosh. Okay, conscious. We in there. Okay. 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 Let me get some of your comments. We in there. Okay. We in there. Now, I want to get to some of these receipts. So it looks like all of Larry's HIV tests from 2014. The crazy part that you have to put it in here is crazy. Um, it says accuser 2 apologize to Larry for spreading HIV lie. Okay. What the heck? Let me see that. I want to read that. What is this? Lavontray Andrews grand theft. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Um, this is he was arrested for grand theft. Okay, I'm gonna read this to you. So I'm gonna read this to you. Come through, Chief. Okay, sorry. Let me get some of your comments. Double D said that's cap. Double D, get out here. $5. Start the Tesla. Y'all gonna get. Listen, I'm posting. Listen, I'm telling you right now. I don't believe in putting your cash app in your bio, but on my birthday, y'all gonna have to run me my digits. I didn't give y'all free content for a year. I'm gonna finally post my cash app on my birthday. I want to get my hair did. Okay, so thank Double D for the $5 because we about to go through these receipts. Okay, so he posted this 13 hours ago, and for the sake of his Patreon, I'm not going to share it on here, but I'll read it to you. Okay, if you want it yourself, I implore you, go get it from pay the creator who published it. Okay, but I'll read it to you. It says Lavontray Andrews grand theft of $10,000 stolen. Remember, Lavontray came into Larry's ministry with a lion habit. Okay, we're not because conscious go with a lion habit. Okay, these are his words, not mine. I implore you. He said the theft issues with that existed prior. According to the staff and the housemates, Lavontray lied profusely about his whereabouts and even petty, frivolous things. Because he had issues, his issue was so habitual. During the 2021 investigation, I think that's a wrong word, but investigation, Pastor Locklear, who had lived with Lavontray at the 3216, and I'll put blank, drive, property after Larry went overseas for a month and a half after Lavontray moved in at the age of 18. Not only did Pastor Locklear share with me that his car was stolen on several occasions by Lavontray, would ditch school and hook up with women by using his vehicle without his permission at night. Another senior pastor of Breakthrough Ministries Church also loaned Lavontray and his wife Ashley $10,000 so she could go to cosmetology school. Even after having a written agreement in increments, he would be paid back. He never received any money back. And I presented by a laundry load of texts and DMs exchanges between Lavontray and Ashley, dodging this man and constantly giving him the runaround about his payments. And that is, and at this point, Lavontray and his wife Ashley were adults. Not only did Lavontray steal and use and deceive his caregivers, those who trusted him, he would go on to commit crimes outside of the ministry as above. And in the court document, it says theft by taking. He was arrested on June 12th of 2019, and he had a bond set for $5,000. The offense date, July 27th, 2018. This was well after he had moved out of Larry's home. And then I'm going to read you the text messages. It says, and this is from the person, so I don't know who it was. They said, "Hey man, let your wife know I sent that paperwork. I will also be making another payment on Monday. When are you guys going to send the money back?" Lavontray says, "Okay, she'll send it Tuesday." Then Lavontray replied back and says, "I'll need to send the payment on Friday. Friday. Okay, cool." The person he texted, "Yeah." Then the person replied back on, this is on May 31st of 2018. He says, "Hey man, y'all heard anything from Navita? I don't know how to pronounce that. Navient? I think that's a loan processor. It's been 30 days. Also, I'm making another payment on Friday. I need the money back by Monday, man." And then he replied back and he says, "Hey man, have y'all heard anything from Navient? I think it's a loan processor. It's been 30 days." And he repeats the same thing again. Lavontray replied back and says, "I feel like we are getting the runaround. They are asking for things we already gave them. I'm going to talk to management Monday. If they don't agree to take you off the loan as a cosigner, we're going to create a lawsuit." Interesting. The person replied and says, I am paying the payment today. When are you going to pay me back? Lavontray says, I'll let you know by the end of the day. The guy replied back, now this is April. He says, hey man, when are you going to send your payment? It's Saturday on my end, and you and Ashley, I'm sorry, you said you would send it back Friday. Lavontray never replied. So the guy sends another message and says, hey man, are you getting my messages? Lavontray says, hey man, I'm on a gig out of town and my signal is terrible. Blank. And he redacted the person's name. It's gonna send it to you tomorrow when I get back. Sorry for the delay. The person who financed the loan says, so I got a payment from blank, but it's a bit short. The payment is 180, not 100. He says, how do you feel? Then the person replies back and says, how do you feel without justification or explanation that you can just short me my money, Trey? He says, hey man, I need a response about why I only got $100 and not 180. So you gonna add that to the other 500 you still owe me? Lavontray replied back and says, it's obvious you didn't get the second message. I sent this person is going to send you $80 on Wednesday. The guy replied back and says, got the 80, thanks. He says, hey man, I'll be making another payment on Tuesday. Because I think the person is co-signed the loan, but they were also making the payment so they can just keep their credit good, and then Lavontray will pay them back. He says, when are you going to shoot me that payment back? And have you heard anything from Navient? Lavontray replied and says, still waiting to hear from Navient. We'll send you the payment on the 6th. He said, hey, just a reminder to send the payment. The person sent 2 calls to Lavontray, but he didn't answer. Lavontray replied back, said, hey, it's late. I just got back. Blank will send you a payment by the end of the day. I wonder who Blank is. Because the person's name is redacted. So I wonder who blank is. Lavontray said, I didn't forget about the payment, just making a deposit. Just waiting for a deposit to post. He said, thanks for the heads up. He said, hey, what's the deal on the deposit? He said, hey man, what's going on with the deposit? Lavontray replied back and says, hey, my bad for the late response. I was sick and drugged up yesterday. It was easier for me to pay you back when I get back. He said, after this weekend showed why things are failing. The deposit was expected, had to be added to the weekend check because of the issue with the client. I know this is frustrating, but this should be the last time we have this. 30 days for Navient are almost up. He said, okay. He said, hey man, don't forget to send the money. He said, hey, did you get my message? He said, yes, I'll be sending the money in the morning. He said, hey man, the day has ended. What's the deal with my payment? He said, my bad, got busy yesterday, now on the road. I'll send you the money on the 8th. The guy replies to him on the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and nothing. No reply. July comes and says, did you get the notification? I'm sending the money now. Or blank will send the money now. No updates on the cosigner removal yet. He said, hey man, it's Monday. Send the payment, please. The guy, and this is now, we're in July. He says, I've done message you and your wife about the money and no response. You say you didn't get the message, but I noticed you on Facebook. All a man got is his word, and yours is coming up short as you stated you would send payment Saturday. Today is Wednesday, the 4th day past due. I didn't sign up to pay your wife's bill. And Lavontray never replied back. He said, man, I don't know what the issue is, bro. I need my money. He said, man, now mind you, Lavontray has not replied back. Hold on, let me get to this. He said, man, I have messaged you guys a few times, no response. What is going on with my payment? He said, so why is this all rewound back? Hold on one second. Hold on, y'all. He says, so let me assure you, you getting, okay, there we go. He said, you getting my message but won't respond, and you want me to pay your wife's bill? Now we're in September. Lavontray last replied to him in June. He says, so this is month 3 of paying on a loan with no response from you guys. I assume you guys have hit a hardship and didn't want to be responsible. I am personally letting you know that karma is real. Wow, that was sad. He never paid him back. He never replied back. Wow. I'm trying to look for I'm trying to see if he posted um that police report. I'm trying to find the police report that Lavontray filed. Does anyone know when Lavontray filed that police report in 2018? Does anyone know when in 2018? Do you know the month and day? Hold on. I need that. I need that. Not you telling me to calm down. I need that date. So let me tell you why I need it. This is from Lovely Lady Moore. Hello, Lovely Lady. It says Larry says it wasn't him, but it was somebody else that did it to him. According to what Larry said on his live stream, because again, you guys, I got my mind full of everyone else's live stream. Larry stated that Lavontray told him that same story of sexual assault by another pastor. So he said that Lavontray has told him that story before, but in regards to another pastor. But Larry never disclosed who that other pastor was. Does that make sense? Um, does that make sense? Hold on. This from Andrea Carr says, did you hear the part where Conscious cites the lawyer saying Daryl hadn't produced any evidence substantive enough to back up his claims? Yes, I did hear that. At least he didn't produce it yet. I don't think he still has. This from Lady T. How you doing, Lady T? Were you late today? You says, oh, what about going to YouTube to see if there's a link and click on it? I think we got it. This is from Judy. Says, according to Lavontray, he has been in therapy as a result of these allegations off and on for the past few years. Well, that's good that if he does, that's good that he goes to therapy. That's good that anyone goes to therapy, but that is good that he goes to therapy. Um, do I believe that he goes to therapy? I don't. And here's why. It seems like he has a history of financial issues, and therapy is incredibly expensive. So I just have a hard time believing that. I would hope that he's telling the truth about going to therapy because he sounds like he needs it, but therapy is incredibly expensive. And when it comes to this type of story, I would need to see proof of that with him. And that's no shade to him. It doesn't mean I don't believe him, because remember, here at the Nosy Bystanders, and how it should be on every platform, you should always believe the victim, and then you investigate the story, and then you determine if you still believe him, right? So at this point, we always believe him, because I'm not done investigating. At least I'm not done analyzing. I'm not investigating, but I am analyzing. um I have a hard time believing that someone of Lavontray's caliber requires receipts. So I don't know if I would just believe something off out of his mouth without him proving it. And as far as we've gotten, I have not seen any proof of anything. All I've gotten is a quite the ambiguous timeline that we're here, the Nosy Bystanders, are just trying to put on a linear scale. You understand what I mean? So it's not that I don't believe him, right? It's just that at this length in the story, right? 2 weeks into the story being told, I'm gonna have to see proof of that before I believe that. I'm gonna need to see proof of that. Now, I'm always gonna say this, tried and true. Lavontray is either a really, really, really good storyteller, or that story he's telling of sexual assault is real. because it's incredibly graphic. Okay. So that's why I do believe him. But the thing is, I don't know when it happened, what time, through time and space it occurred, whether it occurred to him when he was 2 or actually occurred to him when he was 14, and where. Because where Lavontray has already stated that it occurred didn't exist in time and space. So with him, I'm gonna need receipts. Okay. Not that I don't believe him, but in order to put his story on the timeline, baby, we got to have receipts. And he has yet to produce that. So I'm just waiting on it. I'm hoping at the end of Tasha K series, the whole thing comes together. Okay. Did we ever figure out the month and day that police report was filed? It's not on the Patreon. It's not there. I'm checking. Oh, it is. I'm lying. Ooh, okay. Hold on. I don't want y'all to hear me do this. Screenshot this. I need this. I have to see it. Hold on, y'all. I'm doing investigating. So I'm getting there. Dang. Y'all don't ever let me investigate. Y'all, I investigate privately, but y'all always want to be in my face. Y'all don't ever let me do nothing by myself. So I got to be on camera while I'm digging. Okay. This is what I normally do. This is what my normal face looks like. Okay. Okay. So it's incredible. And shout out to Conscious TV for putting this together. Okay. Shout out to Conscious TV for putting this together. Okay. So on I have to put it here in the banner. So on 08, 06, 2018, police report for forcible fondling was filed. Okay. On July, on 07, 27, 2018, charged with theft by taking. Okay. On oh, by then it was already too late. By July 9th, 7/09, 2018. Okay. Okay. All right. So here we go. So on July 7th, July 9th of 2018, he stopped paying his loan. It was the last time that the person who loaned him the $10,000 for his wife's beauty school heard from him. So here's the messages. And then if we go over here, there's no white, which means that nobody is replying back. The person said on July 26th, man, I have messaged you a few times, but no response. What's going on with the messages? And then he says, it looks like you have fallen on hard times. That's what he said to him. It looked like you're falling on hard times. On July 26th, when the guy who had commissioned that loan for him, he didn't know that Lavontray was in jail getting bonded out for theft. So he didn't know. That's why Lavontray wasn't answering, because he was in jail getting bonded out for theft, right? On he gets the let me correct myself. The crime occurs on July 7th of 2018. That's when the crime occurred. So let me correct myself. The crime occurred. He didn't get charged with that until July 12th of 2019, almost a full calendar year later. So he was out stealing. I don't know what theft by taking means. I don't know what that means, but he was charged with a crime for this date. 3 days later, he was filing the police report for forcible fondling. This person right here, the one who was messaging him like, why you're not paying back the loan, really sets the timeline, which we love a good timeline. He really sets the timeline to Lavontray's financial troubles. He really sets the timeline to Lavontray's financial troubles. He does. Because Lavontray stopped replying on July 9th. He just never paid back the loan. By July 7th, he was committing a crime by forcible theft, right? And then the person replied to him in August, the person who was paying for the loan says, I haven't heard from you. You must have fallen on hard times, not knowing that Lavontray had committed a crime of forcible theft by taking, right? He didn't know that. He didn't know that at all. He just said, you just must have fallen on hard times. And he did, right? The proof is in the arrest record. If someone says you're falling on financial hard times and you get arrested for theft, sounds like you are, okay? Those things are tangible. Those are not speculations. That is not hearsay. That is tangible proof of a timeline of financial difficulties that Lavontray was facing in his life. And it's right here. The proof is in the pudding. So imagine someone having financial hard times, right? They're moved out of the house that they were living in rent-free, right? Albeit the church. They got a loan for $10,000. They're struggling to pay it. You can read those messages yourself. He was paying it late. He was paying it in bits and pieces. He was trickling it out. Or as they say in the hood, he was nickel and diming. He was nickel and diming. Okay. He was nickel and diming. Okay. And then you get the report of forcible fondling. Now, I don't know. And here's something that we have to surmise, and here's something we have to hypothesize. How do we know? We have a timeline of him having financial hardship. How do we know that the police report, or can we ask, was the police report made to extort Larry for money? He was having financial hardship. He committed a crime. 8 days later, he goes to the police, says, I was forcibly fondled at this address that didn't exist. You know what I mean? It sounded, if you have to steal and you get caught, that means you are in desperate straits for money. Okay. So at this Conscious TV, shout out to you for giving us a motherfucking timeline. When you look at the timeline, it's there. There is financial distress. Lavontray is facing financial distress. He has gone as far as stealing, right? Which means he's desperate. The question is, how desperate? That's the question, right? We have the proof that he's desperate. The question is, how desperate? How desperate was he? Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Hmm. This from Old School Hearts. What's up, Old School? Says, but Lavontray wasn't the first one to speak. He was the first to show his face. He was not the first one to speak. But I'm only talking anecdotally in 2008. So take every notion you got right now and move it to the side. I'm only focused on a very short period of time. It's a very short period. We're talking from July 9th to August 6th. That's it. Okay. I promise you, we will analyze other anecdotes, but because no one else is putting together a timeline, we have to. And we're going to start off, right? We're just going to start off clear from July 9th to August 8th. That's it. We're going to argue the semantics of the other instances, but here we got to look at everything anecdotally. So I'm talking about July 9th through August 6th. That sounded like somebody who was incredibly desperate for money. You have a $10,000 loan that you can't pay off. And there's a reason as to why Lavontray didn't take that person off of that loan, right? Because if Lavontray were to take that person off of that loan, then it means Lavontray was responsible for that loan. So he kept the cosigner on, even though in the text thread, the cosigner's like, please take me off this loan. Please take me off this loan. Have you called Navient? Have you called Navient? Take me off the loan. Please take me off the loan. Take me off the loan. So he's asking him over and over and over. And the first thing Lavontray says, oh, we try. Well, we're trying. Well, we're going to sue them. Knowing he has no money to sue anyone. But Lavontray knows that if he takes that cosigner off the loan, he and his wife are in turn responsible for the $10,000 loan from Navient, and they didn't have it. It's clear they didn't have it because he was ducking and dodging that gentleman for a long time. Okay. Then he went as far as stealing. So in this little time space that we're analyzing, it sounds like an individual who's incredibly desperate for money. And what will somebody who is incredibly desperate for money do? That is the question. Are they desperate enough to file a police report and try to use that as leverage to blackmail someone for money? This is the reason as to why when I think her name is Judy, I don't know if she's still here, when Judy said that Lavontray stated he had been in therapy for a number of years, this is why we question that. Because if an individual has a difficult time with money and they have to go as far as stealing it, I have to question whether you can afford something as expensive as a $230 therapy session, right? Because that's luxury to take care of your mental health. It is. It's a luxury. So now you understand why we question everything. So if someone says what they say, you believe them, but you investigate. Okay, it's that simple. It doesn't mean we say Lavantray's a liar. I would never say that, but I will question everything that comes out of his mouth. So when he makes that statement, I've been going to therapy off and on for 10 years. But you're arrested for stealing and you're failing to pay loans, the last thing I would think that you would find as a priority is your mental health. It's probably usually and this is not anecdotal, this is scientific. Most people put their mental health on the back burner and they focus on everything else, right? They focus on their health, their finances, their family, work, their day-to-day, their weight, and then their mental health is always last. So it's no shade to Lavontray, but you have to investigate it, because if you take everything at face value and you don't investigate it, you overlook these key details. Okay, you just do, and that's okay. This from lady, Jazzy old lady says, "Oh, shit, so money driven, possibly." That's the question that I'm posing. This from Brown Mama says, "If you look at the police report, you could also see no suspect's name or description. So when CTV showed it, it sent up red flags. So how is it Larry, but he wasn't told, he didn't tell that to the police?" That's neither here nor there. I know that people say that that's like a key point. It's really not. It's not. I don't care. He could have said, you know, Ronald McDonald was the one who did it. That's neither here nor there. That he didn't disclose whether it was Larry or not. We don't know that if he didn't disclose that to the police directly. So that portion, neither here nor there. What's important is when he filed it, not what he said in the filing. What's important is when it was filed. It was filed 8 days after he committed a crime of theft. Okay. You got it? It was 15 days after he stopped paying on a $10,000 loan. So whether he put Larry's name in it or, MC Delight in it, okay? It doesn't matter whose name was in it. It's the time it was filed. It sounds like a last-ditch effort of extortion, if I had to take a wild guess, right? Larry was the last known person to Lavontray who had a boatload of cash. And if anyone is desperate enough to steal, they are desperate enough to create an elaborate plan to get it. Okay, it's that simple. So, this is what I question. I question the timeline. I can question a timeline. What I can't question is ambiguity. When people say, "Oh, I was this and I was that and I was here and I was there," and they don't tell you when or where, I'm already questioning your story. Because why can't I put it on a timeline? You know, I can put this is a timeline, okay? This is a timeline. And CTV may not have realized it, okay? CTV may not have realized that he put this on a timeline. He may not even have realized it, but he did. He very much did. He very much put together a perfect timeline, and shout out to him for doing so, because he did it so masterfully. He did it so masterfully, because in order to be able to tell Lavontray's story, you have got to have a timeline that is as linear as this Chiron moving this way. Okay, it's just as linear as this Chiron, whichever way it's moving. I don't know which way it's moving. Okay, it's just that linear. We think we do. We do. I don't think he quite noticed he put that timeline together, but it's there. It's there. It is there, honey, in the flesh. Go let him know. Yeah. It's right there. Like, he was in, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's shame. Like, I want to make this clear. Okay. Timestamp it at 154. I don't shame anyone for doing what they got to do. Like, we don't shame anyone who goes to jail. We don't shame anybody with a criminal record. Lavontray seemed like he was doing what he had to do for money. The question is, how far was he trying to go with it? Do you understand what I mean? So I'm not shaming him for stealing. I'm just pointing out that it gives it gives credence, and it gives a notion that he was quite desperate, right? That's all it plays. It doesn't say that he's a bad person. You're not a bad person if you steal. I don't care what Republicans or Democrats tell you. You shouldn't be shamed for doing what you got to do. But it does beg the question, right? How desperate was he to have money for him and his wife? You understand what I mean? That's all it does for me. It doesn't say, "Oh, Levantray's a bad. He's not a bad apple. He's not a bad apple." It just seems like he was trying to do what he had to do. Okay, in my personal opinion, it just seemed like he was trying to do what he had to do. The question is, how far was he willing to go? This is from QC Speaks. Says, then why was Larry texting him and apologizing to him, begging him to call him so he can keep apologizing? Where was that? Can you show it to us, please? DM it to us. This is from Zavora. Says he knows. He discussed it on Sherelle's World. This from YMV says, I know Tasha wants views, money for her. No, I hate reading y'all things out loud. So let me just read it to the side. Not the first portion because I don't care about that, but the last portion. And we stated this earlier in the show. It is important for a story like this to be linear. It has got to be on the timeline. This type of story cannot be left up to ambiguity because there will be people like y'all in the comments. There will be people like me who have so many questions, and you don't want to, I don't want to accuse, I wouldn't want to accuse the people asking questions of being non-sympathetic to alleged victims of sexual assault. I'm very sympathetic to individuals of sexual assault. I definitely believe Lavontray has a story to tell, and I believe his story. Let me make that abundantly clear. The question I have is when and where? And the fact that we've our 2 interviews in and we have yet to get a linear timeline concerns me. And when other bloggers are putting out timelines, when it's indicating a desperation for money, I'm going to start swaying to the people who are putting it together on a timeline, and I'm going to start slightly, not almost or not altogether, but I'm going to start slightly disregarding people who are just throwing stuff out in a ambiguous manner because it's concerning, because I'm starting to feel just a little bit, not a lot, but I'm starting to feel like this story is pulling on my heartstrings, so I can just disregard the fact. And I don't like that. I want the story told to me from beginning to end. You understand what I mean? Clean, right? There's too many questions. I got too many questions, but fingers crossed. I have a lot of faith in Tasha K to deliver the rest of the story in the next 2 weeks on her 5-part series. Correct me if I'm wrong. 4 or 5-part series. So I'm not gonna bash Tasha K because she's not done yet. Okay, so that is how you give people grace to continue. She has every right, like I've said, every single live stream, Tasha K has every right to drag the story out as long as she wants to, so long as she puts together the story in the manner in which the victim allows. Okay, so we can talk about however long people take time to tell stories. It doesn't matter, so long as by the end of it, all of our questions are answered. Okay, so I think this is interesting. What I want to do tomorrow is I want to finish going through the receipts. Now that I got access to Conscious TV's Patreon, I want to go over the rest of the details because he does put together a beautifully mastered timeline. So shout out to him. A lot of it pays a lot of attention to detail. He really, really does. He does pay a lot of attention to detail. So I shout out to him for that. But at the same time, though, Tasha K also does a fine job at her storytelling. Not a timeline, but storytelling. So that is credit to Tasha K and credit to Conscious TV, really head to head on who's going to be able to share the story more concise. Okay. But we'll be back tomorrow, you guys, at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, here on the Nosy Bystanders Live. I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. We'll be back tomorrow, okay, to discuss more news. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. All right. Bye-bye.